Hi, and thanks so much for joining us. Today we are talking about the Advanced Manufacturing Virtual Internship in hopes of encouraging other businesses, small, medium, and large, to incorporate something like this into their community. It's a great way to give back. It's a fun way to give back and engage with the next generation, get them excited about manufacturing. So I wanted to walk you through the layout, how we came up with this, what worked for us, what we're changing on our next iteration this summer. And I want you to feel free to steal the ideas and incorporate them into something of your own. So the Advanced Manufacturing Virtual Internship, we've been calling it the AMVI, or the Accidental Internship. COVID-19 prompted the creation of it because, of course, necessity is the mother of invention, as they say. Wintech went from being able to take 2 on-site interns to taking many more. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we were not able to commit to the on-site interns that we had planned last spring, summer, but instead we expanded the internship opportunity and really made this more accessible. These students represented 4 local high schools around our area here in Metro Atlanta. And there was a diverse representation from those schools. We had 5 females, 7 males. We had 3 minority students and a variety of socioeconomic backgrounds. We invited students with intent. So this first inaugural version, we went out of our way to talk to a lot of the teachers that we had already been engaged with from various manufacturing days and workforce development and previous internships and such. And we asked them, we told them our idea, where we were coming up with this virtual concept. And we said, do you have any students in mind that may fit into what we're looking at? And so that really made it good, because we knew that the group of students that we had for this kind of first stab was going to be very worthwhile, and they'd get something out of this. So the internship itself was unpaid. It took place over the lunch hour for 4 days a week for 4 weeks. So if you are good at basic math, you have figured out that that is 16 class days. I believe that we might have been short a day because there was a holiday in there, but you get the idea. So the layout of the internship was that we broke manufacturing down into approachable topics. Day 1 and day 2, we talked about Wintech. We introduced the company. We talked about projects that might happen on the shop floor. We talked about the industry. We talked about challenges in the space of being a small business manufacturer in the aerospace industry. Then for pretty much the bulk of the program, the value that was added were the subject matter experts, for these speakers. So in days 3 and 4, we engaged in speaking about design engineering and supply chain. So we had a subject matter expert who is a sustainability design engineer out in the UK, who I happened to meet on a work trip a few years ago, and have stayed in touch with him, and he was ecstatic to be able to participate in this program with us. And although it was 6 p.m. his time and noon our time, he happily engaged with students and was definitely one of their favorite speakers. Then we also spoke with a supply chain professional, and he actually runs Supply Chain Now podcast radio and has a lot of experience in the space. And of course, being in the middle of the pandemic and with the toilet paper shortage, this was a prime time for these types of discussions, everything from bullwhip effect to min-max orders, and a lot of terminology that these students got to learn in the space. Days 5 and 6, we went to talk about business and manufacturing. So we talked about costing and risk management. And what do you do if you're a small business and there's a pandemic? What type of things do you plan for? We talked about costing on a shop floor. So if you have the idea of creating a part, everything from design to first article pieces, R&D to production, how do you know that you're making money? How do you know when you're making money? We talked about sunk costs. We talked about opportunity costs. Then we jumped into the quality side in manufacturing. We talked about in-process inspection. We talked about quality control and quality assurance. We talked about employee health and safety, OSHA requirements, forklift training, all these different pieces of the puzzle that ultimately happen on that shop floor. We also talked about, obviously, the manufacturing aspect, the hands-on, the programming, the operators. Our very own John Hudson here at WinTech and Jimmy Baxter here at WinTech were gracious enough to dial in and be a part of this and be a part of the conversation and answer a lot of questions. We had students on the call who were engaged in robotics programs and had a pretty basic understanding of some of these manufacturing concepts, and to be able to have discussions with people who were very experienced in running these machines, it was invaluable. It was a great discussion. In days 11 through 13, we focused a little bit on some soft skills. We had a job panel where we featured some individuals who had not really been represented yet in those previous days. So I went out of my way to find people who not only had different jobs within manufacturing, but also who looked different. I wanted to make sure that students could see themselves in these speakers. We talked about resources and networking and how important it is to stay engaged in the industry and meet people and stay in touch with those people. We talked about thank you notes after interviews. We talked about resumes. We talked about leadership and how to look for a job, look for a career, something that you're going to enjoy doing, not something that you can check the box for 8 hours a day and be miserable, but something that you really were excited to do. Days 14 and 15, we had student-led presentations, and we will come back to that. I'll explain a little bit more about that shortly. So the curriculum development itself, if you're not a teacher by trade, God bless teachers. If you are, or if you're a business owner and you don't have too much experience in the classroom, there are some things that you do have to keep in mind, no matter if you are presenting to high school students like this was, or middle school students, or really anyone who is probably tired of sitting in front of a computer screen for countless hours over the pandemic. So some suggestions are to keep it moving. So you don't want to talk to students for more than 5 minutes at a time. You want discussions, you want questions, you want activities, you want movement. You want to discuss, you want to engage them. Exercises that allow them to be as involved as they are comfortable. So you'll have a lot of students who are happy to engage and talk, and others that kind of want to sit back and watch, just like in the classroom. You can share resources from outside. So there were plenty of times where I'd find, leading up to the internship, I'd find articles and videos and podcasts and books that I'd think, oh my gosh, I need to share this with the group when we get to that. We created a resource website that was accessible to these students through a password, and they could sort by day and take a look at all that day had to offer. So they could go above and beyond. That hour of the internship a day sometimes wasn't enough to really dive deep, but in some cases the student didn't necessarily want to dive in that deep. But this allowed those that really were excited about that particular specific topic to keep digging. The breadth of the curriculum, its purpose was to expose students to resources and to people. And it was an invaluable way to offer accessible networking and allow those students' potential to shine. So this gives you kind of a snapshot of what that website held. And this is an accordion view where you click the little caret, little arrow there, and then it would expand with links and access to all different types of videos found and vetted on YouTube, articles, different types of resources, again, that allowed a student to really dive in and figure out what it is that got them excited about the industry. So ultimately, the idea behind bringing on these speakers was that you can't be what you can't see. And that was really important. As a woman in manufacturing, we make up, I think the latest is about 30%, and that's if we're lucky, of the industry. So as we had a decent percentage of young women on our first cohort with the AMVI, it was important to show them that there are a lot of women in manufacturing and they enjoy what they do and they get excited about it. And this is an industry for anyone, young men, young women, everybody in between. The real value to that program was, what can you offer to students that's not online? What can you offer to students that doesn't already exist? You don't want to water down the environment or water down offers. We have rock star speakers, and you can, as a business, you can find, I know if you are a small business or a medium business or a large business, if you're even watching this, chances are you're looking to invest in workforce development, period. And you have a network. People want to help. They just want to be told how to do it, what they need help with. They want to be able to, or what they can help for. They want to be able to help. So if you reach out to them and say, hey, you're a supply chain professional, you've been in this industry for 20 years, would you speak to a group of 10 students on the computer from 12 to 1 on May 14th? They will jump at that opportunity. This is real life advice that these students are going to get. And the discussions that get opened up are fantastic. A lot of these speakers too that we had returned to judge student presentations. So the student presentations, how that worked was at the very beginning of the program, we told students, all right, you are going to present on a topic that you feel strongly about that somehow aligns with manufacturing. And the purpose of your presentation is you're going to propose a solution to that topic or to that problem. We had some incredible first cohort topics. We had someone develop a keyboard for disabled people. We had someone explore the challenges, the ethical challenges involved with artificial intelligence. We had someone create environmentally friendly batteries. We had someone look at cost savings in to rocket boosters out of SpaceX. I mean, the whole opportunity, you could tell these students really shined in their discussions and presentations. We had not only the judges come back, but we had the students' parents if they were interested, the students' teachers. We had, at any point in time on the presentation days, we could have 25 or 30 people on that call. And the chat box in Zoom was alive with positive feedback and people's with their jaw dropping on how much time and really thought that students put towards these projects. In some cases, the students were actually carrying on their project later on for another class. So this allowed them to kind of dip their toe in the water and get the hang of things. It also gave the opportunity to practice presenting to a group of industry professionals. These industry professionals ranked students, and then all of that data was sent directly to the student after the cohort was wrapped up. So these students were able to see some constructive criticism, both good and, hey, this was good, consider doing this next time. We had awards thanks to sponsors. So we had 4 awards, and they were beautiful crystal trophies that students were able to take pictures of themselves with and post on social media and share. Different classes and different schools posted information in their own school newsletters about these accomplishments. Again, giving students something to put on their resume and something to be proud of. So, of course, because it was our first cohort, myself running this, I didn't think ahead to do photo releases. So I did have to blur out faces, but I can guarantee you that everybody is smiling in this picture. If I could do it all over, I would consider providing a little bit more criteria for those presentations. So we talked about having it as an open presentation of exploring a manufacturing topic that's passionate to the student and that solves a problem. And that was great, and people ran with it. But the feedback we did get from students is they wish they would have had a little bit more criteria, whether that was a rubric, whether that was some sort of checklist or guidance or even topics to choose from. I wanted to avoid giving people topics because I didn't want to give them anything leading. However, I did work with a colleague in the neurodiverse space in January of 2021 to come up with a neurodiverse version of this program. And how we handled the presentations was the topics were all going to be related to the United Nations sustainability goals. And so we overlapped that with manufacturing, and that did give a little bit more substance. So that would be an idea if you were interested in that. We offered some more time for exercises during classes in our neurodiverse version after the fact, after this first cohort. I would probably do that again, is to add a little bit more time. There's a kind of a tough spot between, and teachers can probably vouch for this, is I believe that many high schools either have classes that are 40, 50 minutes or 90 minutes. So kind of depends on quarter schedule, semester schedule, block scheduling, all of that. I found that the 60 minutes kind of was a sweet spot, but there were plenty of times that at 52 minutes in, Q&A with speakers was really getting going. So I would consider either extending the class to 90 minutes, knowing that we may not use the full 90 minutes, or at least telling people ahead of time, we're having class for 60 minutes and there'll be an optional 15 minutes after that you're welcome to stay and stay engaged with Q&A. There's also the idea to require some homework, something small that would require some input along the way. There were a couple of students that were very quiet most of the time, and I know from their teachers that that is just their personality, and they were learning, but I still am trying to figure out how to keep them engaged and allow them the opportunity to ask questions behind the scenes, even if they're not comfortable with raising their hand or talking on Zoom. The speakers and the judges were phenomenal. I cannot stress enough how incredible it is to have so many people dedicate their time, energy, and passion, and then come back again and again. We could also personalize for different audiences. I know that there is talk about soft skill development in a lot of industries, including manufacturing, showing up to work on time, appropriately dressing, things like that, it would be very simple to include a class to talk about that. But again, I think it depends on your audience. If you have students that are a little bit more advanced in high school and maybe in magnet programs or AP courses, or you might not need to talk to them about how to make a resume. They might already have one. So, but there's still discussions that can be made through that. I would consider recording classes, but again, it's a double-edged sword because I would not do it at the cost of interaction. I think there was something to be said for the occasional technical glitch or a speaker that was late or was having issues sharing a screen or whatnot. I think there was still that kind of added to a reality for it, and the students were terrific throughout. The best practices, some of the lessons learned that I'm glad we did do, would be to set expectations. So ahead of time, just like any other class, we had a syllabus. So we had expectations set to students, teachers, and parents, and we let them all know that this was a free program, and we were asking them to be respectful of not only WinTech's time, but the speaker's time and each other's time. And we had no problems with any of that. To record or not to record, it's all about if you want to get photo releases, if you want to get video releases. We did tell teachers and parents that the classes were for the students. We had a couple of parents ask if they could attend classes. We encouraged them not to, just again, to allow the students to be comfortable in their own space. We invited the parents to the presentation, which many of them took us up on that. But it's really up to you on how the program you choose to create would be set up. Set ground rules for Zoom. Again, these students, they had more professionalism, I think, than a lot of professionals had in the summer of 2020 when it came to Zoom meetings. So encouraging people to stay muted when they're not talking, keep their videos on. That's how you get engaged. That's how you stay engaged. And to thank your subject matter expert guests. I encourage you, if you're the business owner that's about to run this, make plans that you're going to spend a day wrapping things up after the fact, whether that's creating certificates to send to every student on completion, whether it's ordering awards or sending prize packs. Sometimes subject matter experts like to send some tchotchkes to be able to send out with the prize packs, but also to when you're thanking your subject matter experts, consider doing a handwritten thank you note, because they spent that time with you and it's not difficult for you to spend that time for them. And again, presentations, open-ended versus guide criteria, I would consider, I would suggest you consider either side. And who knows, you might have a topic within your company or your specific industry that maybe you want to hone in on and offer a much more specific presentation or exploration of ideas. I am more than happy to talk about this with anyone interested beyond this short presentation. I'm happy to talk some more, provide any resources that you might want. My information is attached or on the screen there. So thanks so much for your time and checking this out, and for your investment into workforce development.